Hello from Freedomtax Accounting. We are an accounting firm here in Florida where we have been providing quality tax and accounting services for 20 years now. Today is July 30th, and we wanted to do this quick video on how to return the EIDL grant or the advance. Okay. During the last couple of weeks, we have had a couple of cases where we have had to advise people we counsel to return the EIDL advance or grant. And according to news that came from the Inspector General last week, there are some cases where you may have to return the EIDL advance or grant so you don't get in trouble with the federal government. Okay. Now, I always say the date of the recording of this video. Today is July 30th because the laws and the rules for the EIDL program and the PPP program have been changing constantly, and there's some new laws coming in the future. So whatever we discuss today may change tomorrow. Okay, so that's the importance of subscribing to our channel so you are up to date with the latest information with the EIDL program. Okay. Now before we go into how to return and when should you return your EIDL grant money to the SBA, very important to know that there is a new bill, a new proposal in the Senate right now that everybody should get on top of this and support, because if this new bill becomes law, it's going to help a lot of business owners. As you may know, as of July 11th, the EIDL grant or the advance is no longer available. It ran out of funds. The EIDL loan is still available, but the EIDL grant or advance, it's out of funds since July 11th. Now, the new bill is being called the Ensuring Increased Disaster Loans EIDL for Small Businesses Act. The number is S4227. If this bill becomes law, it will provide additional funding to the grant, and they will open it up again, and they will make it available again with one super big difference. The grant is going to be $10,000, not as before where you got $1,000 per employee up to $10,000. This will be $10,000. If you got approved already the grant, let's say you got $1,000 EIDL grant, if this bill passes into law, then you are going to get an additional $9,000 EIDL grant. So this is very good news if it passes into law. Now, even though this bill is getting support, bipartisan support, we can still do our part. Don't just wait around and wait for Congress to do things for you. We have a voice. We can email or call our representative, email or call our senator. We can call our congressman and let them know that we support this bill. Remember the name, Ensuring Increased Disaster Loans for Small Businesses Act. Or just tell them the S4227 bill. So contact your congressman, let them know that you really need this bill to go through, that your business will benefit out of it. And if we put enough pressure on these senators, they will start to speed up the process of getting this bill approved. You can also go to senate.gov and find out the email of your senator, or you can call the switchboard at Congress. It's 202-224-3121, and just ask for the office of the senator of your state, and then they will connect you to the Senate office of your state. Okay, so let's do this, people. Let's get this bill approved fast so we can get additional funding for our businesses. Okay, now back to the topic on how to return your EIDL grant. Okay. Before we continue, let's remind everyone that the EIDL has two parts. It has the EIDL grant, which used to be, because it's gone now, it's $1,000 per employee up to $10,000. The good thing about the grant is that you did not have to pay back. It's a grant. You don't have to pay back to the SBA. The other part of the EIDL program is the EIDL loan, which is a 30-year, 3.75% interest loan, which you have to pay back. Okay? Now, why would someone want to return the grant if you don't have to pay back? Why would someone need or want to pay the EIDL grant back? It's because if you have seen the news lately, the SBA is starting to investigate scams and fraud. Okay, so there was a big alert by the Office of the Inspector General about fraud and scams that are taking place related to the EIDL stimulus program. So it may have not been you who did the application, but maybe you paid someone to do the application for you, and maybe you're feeling something kind of weird. Oh, I didn't know I was going to get that much money in a grant. So scams are out there, people. There we know of other places where you pay them and they tell you that they're going to get you a $10,000 grant or a $150,000 loan. Be careful, careful. Nobody can guarantee you anything. Okay, so this is the letter that came out of the Office of the Inspector General, where he's detailing that the SBA and the federal government are going to start or have already started to investigate certain scams and people who are committing fraud. Okay, once again, it may have not been your fault. You may have made a mistake in the application. Maybe you paid someone to do it for you and they made a mistake. So you have to check your application to make sure you got the correct grant amount. Okay. Scary thing is, people are already being arrested and charged because of this. I don't know if you've seen the news, but the last week I've seen like 4 or 5 news clips that people are getting arrested because of the EIDL fraud. Okay, there's this one man in Miami, I think, that got arrested for buying a Lamborghini or something like that with the EIDL funds. Okay, but yes, be careful because this is the federal government and you don't want to get in trouble with them. Okay, now what are the common EIDL grant application mistakes? There are two main application mistakes for the grant that we've seen people do. Okay, the first most common EIDL grant application mistake is that you placed the wrong number of employee on the EIDL application. If you did the EIDL application, the application asks you how many employees does your business have. Now, depending on the type of business you have, there were several mistakes you could have done. If you're self-employed, you could have done one mistake. If you're an SCorp, a CCorp, or a partnership, there are several mistakes you could have done. I'm going to go through the main ones. Okay, so for example, if you're self-employed, independent contractor, or a sole proprietor, meaning that you file a Schedule C on your personal tax return, the number of employees you put in the application is 1, okay, because it's you, okay, unless you had people in payroll in 2019, meaning that you gave them a W-2 at the end of the year. Now, this is very rare. I hardly see self-employed or independent contractors who have people on payroll. And if you are self-employed and have people on payroll, call me because you should then be filing taxes another way, or maybe you're overpaying taxes now. Okay, so one of the mistakes a lot of self-employed people did is that they included the 1099 contractors as employees. If you're self-employed independent contractors and you paid subcontractors to help you in your business and you gave them a 1099, those are not employees. Those are subcontractors. And a lot of people, let's say I'm independent contractor and I have 3 guys who help me in construction and I give each one of them a 1099. And maybe I had put that I had 4 employees, me and my 3 subcontractors. No, I can only put 1 and I'm only eligible to get $1,000. So most self-employed and most independent contractors, if you got more than $1,000 in the EIDL grant, that is a big thing to know, because you may have gotten the wrong EIDL grant amount. Okay. Now for SCorps and CCorps. Now SCorp means that your business files taxes under the 1120S form. CCorps file taxes under the 1120 form. Okay. You can only count the employees you had on payroll in 2019, meaning that you gave them a W-2 at the end of the year. Or if you're the business owner of the SCorp and you're the business owner of the CCorp and you paid yourself in payroll, meaning that you gave yourself a W-2 at the end of the year, you are one of those employees. Okay. But if your SCorp or your CCorp did not have employees, meaning that you did not have payroll, then the number of employees on the application should have been 0. Because once again, 1099 subcontractors do not count as employees. Okay. Now, even if, let's say you're the owner of the SCorp or the CCorp and you did not have employees, you still had to put 0 on employees. But remember, you had to put the names of the owners. So let's say that you were the only owner, the SBA, and you put 0 as employees, the SBA still gave these SCorps and CCorps $1,000 per owner. Okay. So that was good on the hands of the SBA, but we've seen that that was not consistent. So if you are an SCorp or a CCorp, you may have put as employees subcontractors, people who you paid in 1099. Those were not supposed to be employees. If you did not have payroll, then the number of employees should have been 0. Okay. For partnerships meaning your business files form 1065. Okay, where did I put it? Here. Okay. If you are a partnership, your business files under the form 1065. The number of owners who get a K1 is the number of employees. Take a look at your 2019 1065 tax return. If you're a partnership, inside you have 2 or more K1s with the names. You have a K1 for each owner. So the number of owners that got a K1, that was the number of employees. And in this case, once again, 1099 subcontractors do not count as employees unless your 1065 had payroll, meaning that you had employees and you gave your employees a W-2 at the end of the year. But once again, it's very rare to see a 1065 partnership have payroll. Okay. So another common mistake with the EIDL grant application is that you applied for the EIDL without a business, meaning we have seen cases where we had employees, people who their only income is that they work for someone else. So I'm an employee and somebody pays me via payroll and I get a W-2 at the end of the year. If that's my only income, I cannot apply for the EIDL program nor the PPP. Okay. In order to apply for EIDL, you must have a business or be self-employed. How do you know if you fall into one of those categories? If you're self-employed, check your 2019 personal tax return. If you have a form inside that on the top left, it says Schedule C, you're self-employed and you can apply for EIDL. If you have a business and it files a corporate tax return, an 1120 form, 1120S form, and the 1065 form, you see these numbers on the first page of the tax return on the top left. If you have one of these, you can apply for EIDL. But if your only income is that you work for someone else as an employee and you get a W-2, you cannot apply for EIDL. If this is your case, that you don't have a business, that you are an employee, this is your only income, that you got a W-2 at the end of the year, then you're going to have to return the grant and the loan because you were not supposed to get the EIDL funds. Okay? Now, if review your case, maybe sit down with your CPA and evaluate your case to see if you were eligible to get all the grant funds you got. But if you need to repay or return the EIDL funds, maybe you don't need to return it in full, but maybe you need to return part of it. Remember, the SBA is starting to investigate, and at some point they will concur with the IRS. They will cross-check your application with the information the IRS has on your business. So that better jive. So you may have to return the entire grant or maybe part of the grant. You must return it via a check. Okay, you must return it via a check. You don't do it online like you pay the loan. You do it online, but to repay the EIDL grant, you have to send a check to the SBA. Now, the check must include all of the following in the memo line of the check. It must say the check is payable to SBA, and on the memo line, you have to write EIDL return. You have to add your 10-digit application number. Note, not the loan number. That's two different numbers. If you got the EIDL loan, you may have a loan number. The application number is when you finished doing the EIDL application online, the last page, you should have seen something like this. And it says application submitted, your application number is, and the number that's here, that's your EIDL application number. So in the memo, you need to write EIDL return, your 10-digit application number, your business name, or your name. If you're self-employed, put your name, or your tax ID number. If you're self-employed, you can put your social security number. But if you have an EIN number, then you can put your EIN number. Okay? Now, once you have the check ready, you have to send it in the mail. Where do you send it to? You send it to SBA 721 19th Street, Denver, Colorado, 80202. So this is the address you need to send the check to the SBA to return the EIDL grant. Once again, this is only for the EIDL grant. If you want to return the EIDL loan, that is a different process, which you can search our YouTube videos for how to pay the EIDL loan back, and we made another video on how to pay that part. Okay, this is the address for the EIDL grant if you need to return it. Okay. Now, thank you. Once again, check your case. Once again, this is very serious. This is federal government money, and you don't want to get into trouble. Consult your CPA and make sure that you have the correct EIDL grant amount, and the SBA is giving you a chance to return part of it before you get into trouble in the future. Okay. Thank you for watching this video. If you think other business owners can take advantage of this video, like the video. If you think you have received value out of this information, like the video. God bless you. We're praying for your business. We're praying for your family and for yourself so that God protects you during this pandemic. This is our contact information. We are providing consultations with everything related to PPP and EIDL or taxes or accounting. We have lowered our consultation rate in order to provide assistance to more business owners. Now, if you ask a questions in the comments, know that we will do our best to answer all of them, okay? But realistically, we're getting 200 to 300 questions a day in the comments of the YouTube videos, and we do our best to answer all of them, okay? Now, if you don't know us, we are part of Freedom Group. We are a group of 4 companies. We have the tax accounting firm, we have an immigration law firm, we have a real estate business in Florida, and we have the insurance and financial planning business as well. Now, for tax and accounting, even though we are in Florida, we do have a certification from the federal government where we can represent individuals and businesses in all 50 US states for tax and accounting. Okay, so we can help you in many, many ways. Once again, this is our contact information. Like this video, subscribe to our channel. We will do our best to keep you posted on all the latest and correct information regarding EIDL and PPP loans. Okay, thank you and God bless. Bye-bye.